What's going on, YouTube? We're back here with Old and Busted, aka Junk. I mean Old and Busted.
Welcome back to the ZHP Garage, everyone. Hope you guys are all doing well. Doing a video on the Old and Busted, first time in a while. So, what do you think?
Still Old and Busted.
So, we're gonna we're gonna do a little update on the floorboards on the passenger side. He's been working on and off for quite a while, and the aftermarket stuff doesn't fit too well. So we're gonna showcase that here in this video. And then I got a new tailgate for my truck. I was just randomly going through Facebook Marketplace.
New to him.
Yeah, new to me. Probably old to someone else that bought some 60s truck back in the day. So it's an original 67 to 72 tailgate. We'll show that later. So it's not aftermarket. And then also we rebuilt the wing window on the passenger side. So stay tuned. You got a lot ahead. What do you got to say?
Check it out. Let's go.
Let's do it.
Hey, before we get started on the walk around on this thing, go down and hit that like and subscribe button, the bell, everything. So you want to get all the updates on what's going on this fine jewel. I don't know if you remember in the previous one of the older videos, this was just a rubber line on the overflow. So we went ahead and hard lined it, did some stainless, and then you can see I ran it all the way down. I did that in case it ever did throw up, that it didn't splatter on the steering box or anything. I'm trying to control it if it ever did get to the point where it filled this up so much that it came out the top. It's controlled straight at the ground, so it keeps it away from the tires. So that's why it goes all the way down like that, in case you're wondering. So got that done, just about ready to get the wiring. Was working on that, a couple wires to hook up still. But if you go back over to the other side here, we can check out the passenger door. So we put the passenger door on it just to check this bottom. We got the floor all done, except for this outer. It's pretty much just a cover, rocker panel. And I wanted to put the door on it just to check the body line of the door, because, oh my gosh. So we put the door on it to check the body line of this rocker panel before we get it welded in. You see I did some holes so I could do like some spot welds to it. But I didn't like the way it was fitting. I did some notches so I can kind of pull this over and straighten it, and the same up here. I don't know if I'm going to be able to close the door without it all falling apart. So I wanted to make sure on the body line on the bottom here, because it wasn't fitting, because there's like a gap in the bottom. If you pull it over tight, it's pulling it way in. But I wanted to make sure that the body line was good with the door. This aftermarket stuff definitely doesn't fit very exciting, so I was just checking that. So we got that put on there. So I'm dealing with that still, but everything else is pretty much done. The door looks a lot better in black. So we got this tailgate, new to us, new to him. Because I'll show you what's going on with him, with his. This has a couple bad spots, but it's not too bad. The one on the truck is like bowed. Like it was down and somebody put a lot of weight in it, and the whole thing was bowed, so we didn't want a reproduction tailgate because they're definitely difference in steel. So we found this factory one. This one I think we could straighten out when we do the body work. It's not too bad. You can see just by looking in here, see the gap? The sun comes through on the bottom. The tailgate's bowed. You see on the top here, it's pretty beat up also. Somebody definitely got a little crazy with this. Use it for a work truck for sure. But the whole point, this is probably all pretty fixable, but just the time it takes to straighten out the bow. We got the other one, found the other one for a pretty good price. So we're gonna change it out. We'll change out tailgate. So we're gonna sand that one down. Same way as the doors and everything, it's painted black. So you can see it still opens and closes just fine. So that's next. We got that going on. On top of everything else, we're gonna change the tailgate. So we're gonna sand this one down, get it painted.
So with both the things I just showed, the floorboards and the tailgate, I'll show better footage later. It was just a really quick overview as to what's going on. So I got the tailgate set up right about here. I'm gonna start sanding on it. And also the master mechanic is right here.
Sitting down on the job.
Sitting down on the wheel right here. He's doing some work to the wiring and the PCM. Let me set this up and let's sand this thing down. All right, it's the next day. I did about 20 minutes of sanding in that time lapse, but after that I did about 2 to 3 hours of sanding on this thing, and this paint is on here like Gorilla Glue. It's kind of ridiculous. But I'm not trying to get it sanded all the way down to bare metal because it's just temporary for right now. We're just going to do the spray paint over the top of it, the black spray paint. And while I was sanding this, I was trying to get mainly just the rust off of here. I wasn't too worried about the paint. I was just trying to get it smooth. But the rust was being a real pain in the butt to get off. I got some of it off, but on this side, let me show you. I was sanding down on this side, and right here the paint started chipping off and all this rust started getting exposed underneath the paint. And this is super irritating because now I have to really sand super hard on this whole entire area because it's down here. It's all within here. So as you can see, the rust I was trying to get off in this spot. So there's little rust spots all over, even on the edges of this. It's just all down this. So it's gonna be it's gonna take some work to get this done. So I'm gonna do more of this off camera, and next time you see this on video, it will be painted. And when this is painted, we're gonna show the other tailgate a little better, try and show you the little blemishes that it had. It's not just little blemishes though, there's a lot of nicks to it. So now we're gonna transition to us rebuilding this wing window on the passenger door, and we're gonna show you how we did it. And I think it's the best way to rebuild the wing windows because it's 68 technology that you're working with. It's nothing modern, nothing crazy. So let's transition over, see what the master mechanic has going on.
All right, everybody. We're going to change the rubbers for the wing window. So this one goes on the inside here, and then this one goes around the outside. So we got to take it apart. So the way we did the last one is we just took some people take the handle off of it. I don't know why you don't need to. So we got to take the bottom off. We're going to pop up the little locks. Take your nut off. Then you got to keep in order. So you have your nut, got your locking tab, got your spring, you got your washer, and your little phenolic, so it's not metal on metal. Okay, so you got to open it up, and you got to knock this rivet out here. You got to take this rivet off. So I don't want to beat on it too much, so I'm just going to grind the head of that off. So we're going to get our little grinder. Just got to be careful not to get the sparks to hit the window. So you want to kind of aim away, but we're going to cut the head of this off. So we're going to use a little trusty screwdriver. You want to knock out the rivet. So now we can get it apart. Now we can slide it out, but we got 2 more washers. Well, we have a little stopping tab and like a phenolic washer. So keep an eye on those. Got to work it out. It's only been together for like 48 years, so it comes apart really easy. Bent this a little bit because it didn't come all the way out, so now we can straighten this back up. So I'll take the bottom of it off now. So being it's a little tab, you kind of want to give a little bit of support if you have an edge or something to put it on. And use your little trusty screwdriver. There we go, got it out. Okay, so now we're done with that for a minute. We put that aside. So all these rivets here, so these 2 on the bottom hold this frame. So there's 2 on the bottom and 2 on top to hold this frame to the window run. So you take those off first, and then these rivets here, these 4, hold this seal. So the seal that seals the wing window when it's closed, that's what holds that in there. So you can either grind them all or do them individual. I'm just going to grind them all. So same thing, I'm just going to knock the heads off, and then we're going to knock them through. All right, so we got all the heads ground down. So we're gonna do the same thing. We're gonna take a little screwdriver or a punch. You can use whatever you got. What do you want? And I'm gonna take the frame off first. So I'm gonna do the 2 in ones. And now the frame comes off. And then see, this is the seal for the wing window when it closes. The same thing, so we'll just hold it flat. Gorgeousness.
Nice.
Pretty clean. Might have a little bit of little stuff in the way. Make sure it's cleaned out. Just put that aside for right now. So now the fun part. So you take this old rubber out. You gotta be careful not to bend the frame. The same thing, you want to make sure it's cleaned up for the most part. So then you get the new one. And there is a left and a right. We already did the left side, so this is the right side. But you can see where it pivots. When the rubber's in there, it has a little cutout. Pretty much only different from the left and the right. So the easiest way to do that is you get some soapy water. Don't be afraid to get it wet. So you want to spray the whole thing, and then you want to work in the corner. You want to get the corner tight first and then work your way out. And then just line it up. So you can keep spraying as you go. So I'm just gonna get it started. So just, yeah, you never stick it in dry. You gotta have a well-lubed rubber. Hard part is getting it started. And then the end, so it has a spot where it stops. So it kind of has some reference points, but it's just getting it started. It's kind of tricky, and you can use a little screwdriver to kind of poke. We don't want to poke through the rubber, but you can get it started up in the channel, and you want to hold it. So if you go in between where the window's going to be, put your fingers in there, and then poke it up in there, and you can hold it. But it's going to be a fight, though. It definitely doesn't fall in. Alrighty, we got the rubber worked in there. You just want to, when you're doing it, make sure it's in all the ways. Got a nice straight line even with the molding till it goes all the way in the corner. It's not bunched up. You just want to note gap was for where it hinges. It wants to be even. You kind of, it's rubber. You can stretch it, manipulate it, get it even. And then in the back, you want it right at the edge where the track runs out. You want it in tight. And you get it all the way over, and then you know it's all the way in the corner. There's a lot of soap and water. You got to fight it. It's a battle, but got it on. So we want to put this back on here before you put this on, because this goes into these corner pieces like so. So if you put this on here first, you can't slide it because it's got to go top and bottom. It's got to go both sides. You can't slide it in. So first you got to put this piece back on here. So we're just going to wipe it off, get some of the dirt out of here. We're not going for super cherry. This is a daily driven truck, so we're not worried about the chrome being polished and the dent being out of it, and we just want it to be sealed up. We're just trying to fix the wind noise. Okay, so there's two on each side. So originally, where this was in there, the head was on the inside. And I found it easier, and it pulls it tighter to put the head on the outside. And I don't think it matters because I didn't notice any difference in the other one, and all it does is it has a cleaner look. Well, you're not gonna see this is because the window run goes in here. So you're pretty much not gonna see either side of it because they're dimpled down in here. But I found if you go this way, it seems to hold it tighter because the head's on this side, so you could push it down and then rivet it. So I went this way with it. So I put it in this way, sit it in there. And you want to give it a couple whacks just to hold it, but not have it tight so you can line up the other rivets. So there's a tool to install these rivets. So the head you need to have against something hard, and then there's this little tool. It's got the little radius that dimples it. You pretty much beat it down. And it dimples it out, and that's what pulls it tight. So you have it up against something tight, and that's what pushes it all together. I got this nice scrap piece of metal here, and then you got to call in the extra hands of a trusty assistant at this point. But you're going to put the rivet, have something behind it, and this one's here because of the frame. You kind of got to do a little bit of an angle. It's a little tricky, but you set it on something hard like so. We're going back to 1968 technology, where they made cars with real Detroit iron. So like I said, since there's two on each side, you need to line it up. So you just want to do a couple hits, just start squashing the rivet, and then you can beat it down tight. So you just put the rivet on the edge, get it so it won't fall apart. Put the next rivet in it. This one's a little bit harder because it's below this rubber. You kind of got to sneak it down in there. And this one has the rubber in the way. So we just used a nice scrap piece of all thread to put it in there to keep from messing everything up. Tuck it behind the rubber. So now that we have both of them in here, we can tighten this one down all the way. Kind of a little erector set, don't laugh. Make sure your assistant holds it or else you're just wasting your time. When you whack it, you can tell it gets a different tone in it when it's actually tight. Now this side is the one that's a little tricky because of the angle of the track. So you kind of got to hold whatever you're beating against on the bottom at an angle. But you just pay attention to it and you can get it tight. But you just kind of got to fight with it and get it so you can put it back together. And all this stuff fits really tight because the rivet's not going to expand very far. Very snug fit. You got to get everything lined up. So now that the outer one is snug, we're going to tighten up the inner one. So we're going to do the same thing. We're going to use this piece of scrap of all thread, but so we can kick it at an angle and get a little room to beat on it. But even if you flip the rivet over so you can hold this side, then you're trying to beat this side in, and either way you're crooked. So I found it just easier to put it in this way. So You can hold on to that thing or no? Now that we got the frame on here, both rivets, 2 rivets on both sides, frame's nice and tight. Okay, now we get to put the rubber, the seal in when the wing window's closed. It's got a lip, and when the window closes, it's going to seal up against this lip here. But you got to sneak it in on both sides. Little soapy water, and then now you can bow this a little bit, and then straighten it back out once you get it in there. So you got to sneak it down in here. You give it a little bit of a bow. Put it in this side, okay? Then you can flatten it back out. You can lay it down, and then you can line up your rivets. So it's best because this rubber kind of holds it. You can put all 4 of them in, but it's like super tight. I think the last one I had to drill out this rubber a little bit. I can't remember because it's still so tight going through here. We got to drill these out because the rivets don't fit through here, and it's like a metal mesh. So it's not like it's just going to flex and you can cram it in. So we got to drill these out just a hair for the rivets to go through. We got our holes drilled out. This one, for some reason, we had to wind up drilling both sides. Got 1 rivet in it. We're going to do the same thing. We're just going to snug it down and get them all in before we beat them down tight. Maybe we need a little extender. It gets harder and harder to put in as it gets tighter and tighter. This is why they charge $500 for the complete assembly. Real pain in the butt. All right, so now that we got them all in, we're gonna get them all tight. So this in one's pretty tricky. You can see there's not much room to get in there. So like I was saying before, if you were to flip the rivet this way, you'd have to beat on it this side. I think it'd be more difficult. So that's why I decided to go the other way with it. So we use the pliers so we can go in there at an angle. We laid it on here so it'd stick out so we're able to catch the rivet. Oh my. So we got this fine thing put together after some fighting with it. So we got it all together, we checked it, make sure the rubber looked like it was in there nice and straight, looks even. So now we gotta put the wing window glass back in it. You kinda gotta have it open. Then you gotta put your little stop and your washer in there. Then you can see when your wing window only goes open so far. Okay, so it stops. It's a little floppy right now. So it's gonna stop it only so far open. So it doesn't, the wind doesn't wrap it all the way around. It has a little stop. Then when you go to close it, it should allow you to go all the way closed. Okay, so the stop goes on first. And I like this since it pivots off of this little, it's like a little phenolic washer. I like to put a little grease on it. You don't want it dry. It's like your rubber. You don't want your rubber dry, you don't want your gasket dry. Okay, then the wing window is gonna go on the bottom side. Then you put the rivet, and you see the rivets are different. So this is the one that holds the frame and the side together, and then this is the one that holds it where it pivots at. See how it's bigger? It's all beefier, got a bigger head on it. So you gotta call in your assistant to help you. You need more hands to do this. So same thing, you wanna hold this side, something solid, beat the bottom side tight. Got the rivet in, so now we're gonna finish this up. So we're gonna add grease to our little washer. It goes on the bottom side. Then we have a steel washer, we have our spring, then we have our retainer, and we have our nut. And this determines like the preload, so how hard it is to open and close the wing window, because you don't want it too loose because you open it and the wind will just blow it shut. So there you go, see, it's all sealed up against the edge around the window. So there you go, that's how to rebuild the wing window. We're going to adjust this rubber, finish everything else up. When you come back, you'll see this thing rattle canned up and going together. We'll get some doors on it, some glass in it. It's going to be nice.
Well, I hope you guys all enjoyed the video of the 68 C10. Come back next time, just like the master mechanic said, we will have this thing painted. We'll be ready to get the glass installed, and it'll be way more farther along than when it is right now. A couple videos to check out right here. Don't forget to check them out at all. I suggest this one first, then you can go to this one. It honestly doesn't matter, but that's what I suggest. This one. Take care.